Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're venturing into the fantastical world of the 1986 classic, Labyrinth. This visually stunning film featuring David Bowie and a labyrinth full of magical creatures has enchanted audiences for decades. But beyond its whimsical charm, there's a whole world of behind-the-scenes secrets and fascinating trivia that even the biggest fans might not know. So round up your Goblin army and let's navigate the twists and turns with 20 things you never knew about Labyrinth. There were 25 treatments and versions of scripts written. Illustrator Brian Froud first presented his idea to Jim Henson of a baby surrounded by goblins after a screening of The Dark Crystal. Using a story written by Henson and Dennis Lee as a starting point, Monty Python's Terry Jones and Fraggle Rock writer Laura Phillips wrote a script. Comedy legend and seasoned scriptwriter Elaine May made revisions that helped to humanize the characters. Although Terry Jones was ultimately credited as the sole screenwriter, he didn't feel particularly connected to the final version, as his script and the completed film were so different. A number of now famous actresses auditioned for the role of Sarah: Jane Krakowski, Yasmine Bleeth, Sarah Jessica Parker, Mary Stuart Masterson, Laura Dern, Lily Taylor, Ali Sheedy, and Mia Sara were all considered. Krakowski, Sheedy, and Maddie Corman were the leading contenders until Jennifer Connelly ultimately won Jim Henson over. In the early stages, the Goblin King was initially conceived as just another non-human creature. Based on this, Terry Jones wrote a script in which Jareth doesn't appear until halfway through the film. However, he received a note from Jim Henson stating that Michael Jackson or David Bowie would now be playing Jareth, so the character had to be present throughout the film singing. Henson outlined the movie with Bowie in mind and met with him several times over 2 years to provide updates on the film's development before Bowie agreed to take on the role. Maurice Sendak, the author of countless beloved children's books, including Where the Wild Things Are, also wrote a 1981 book called Outside Over There, in which a young girl's baby sibling is stolen by goblins, and it's up to the girl alone to rescue him. Sound familiar? Sendak's lawyers advised Jim Henson to halt production and threaten legal action. In response, the movie credits state that Jim Henson acknowledges his debt to the works of Maurice Sendak. Although Sendak withdrew his objection, it said that he continued to complain about the film for years afterwards. It was a Henson family affair. Jim's son, Brian Henson, provided the voice for Hoggle, while the daughter, Cheryl, worked as a puppeteer for one of the Fireys. His wife, Jane, said that the children became involved early on, as it was the best way to spend time with their father, who was frequently too absorbed in work to be with them outside of it. Bowie did not perform his own crystal ball juggling stunts. Choreographer Michael Moshen was the one who juggled the crystal balls without looking, concealed directly behind Bowie and extending his arm under Bowie's armpit. The shaft of hands scene was the most difficult to film. Jennifer Connelly was suspended 40 feet in the air on a harness, with nothing to hold on to. She was warned that if she tried to touch the back of the shaft, her fingers would be chopped off by the hinges. Jim Henson recalled having around 100 performers working on the rig. Executive producer George Lucas co-edited the movie. Henson made the first cut before Lucas got involved. Afterward, Henson reviewed the edit and handled the post-production and audio. He mentioned that Lucas tends to cut dialogue tightly, whereas he prefers a more relaxed approach. Lucas was also present on the first day of filming and surprised the cast and crew by arranging for Darth Vader to deliver a good luck card to Jim Henson. If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be more magical than Jareth's crystal balls. Henson was devastated by the film's box office failure. His wife Jane said it felt to him like he was being personally rejected by audiences. However, before his passing in 1990, he was very pleased when he learned about the cult following that was forming around the movie. Some of Henson's works have a remarkably meta quality, often referencing themselves, and Labyrinth is certainly one of the prime examples. Many of the creatures, scenarios, and environments that Sarah Williams encounters in Jareth's world can already be found in her room, suggesting that they existed in her imagination long before she entered the labyrinth. In fact, the labyrinth itself is even present in her room. Also, Jareth's face appears throughout the labyrinth, subtly reminding Sarah that he is always watching as she journeys towards his castle. His likeness can be spotted in various mazes, on stones, on the ground, and even on the wall of the Bog of Eternal Stench. When we first see Jareth in the movie, it's not David Bowie, but a CGI owl. It's widely considered the first time an animal was realistically portrayed in this manner. Even though the film didn't achieve the box office success Jim Henson had hoped for, it did make its mark by achieving this technological milestone. The soundtrack features plenty of star power, with catchy songs like Underground and Magic Dance. While it may sound like David Bowie with a few backup singers, the 5 new songs he recorded for the film also featured the vocal talents of Luther Vandross, Chaka Khan, Robin Beck, and Cissy Houston, mother of Whitney Houston. Additional voice talents can be heard throughout the film, including Danny John Jules from the BBC sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf, who lends his voice to some of the Fireys. Ludo was quite a hefty beast, weighing 100 pounds before Henson requested alterations to lighten the costume and make it more manageable. After the adjustments, he still weighed 75 pounds. He is one of Henson's finest big monsters. He's a gentle, kind creature, yet his size makes him somewhat intimidating. He also has the ability to call rocks, which makes him quite handy in a battle. Whether he's feeling shy or not, Ludo embodies Sarah's lesson that things aren't always what they seem in the labyrinth. And of course, he even had the honour of meeting Princess Diana. Many viewers don't notice the back of Hoggle's waistcoat is designed in the shape of a face, with a tongue sticking out of its mouth. The tongue serves as the strap that crosses Hoggle's chest. This extra face on the character symbolises Hoggle's two-faced nature. While the Labyrinth novelisation refers to Hoggle as a gnome, conceptual designer Brian Froud clarified that Hoggle is actually part goblin and part dwarf. At the Unclaimed Baggage Centre in Scottsboro, Alabama, a worker unpacking a large wooden crate got a fright when he unexpectedly came face to face with Hoggle. The character has remained in the Unclaimed Baggage Museum ever since. Toby the Baby was played by designer Brian Froud's son, Toby. Now a puppeteer himself, Froud admitted that he remembers very little about his time on Labyrinth, except that he might have peed on Bowie the first time they met. Toby certainly wasn't a prima donna, but as an infant, he certainly made things more challenging. For one, the crew had to use a sock puppet to keep him calm while on David Bowie's lap. Toby also didn't produce enough gurgling noises in the recording studio. Bowie, not happy with the baby's sounds, decided to record them himself to improve their quality. If you listen to Magic Dance, it's actually Bowie you hear gurgling like a baby, not Toby. Jim Henson got to see the start of its cult following, but never got to see the cultural phenomenon it became. He would surely have been pleased to see the annual Labyrinth of Jareth Masquerade Ball in Los Angeles and the manga books inspired by the film. The Labyrinth manga, published by Tokyo Pop, spanned 4 volumes and was titled Return to Labyrinth. It acted as a sequel to the film. Like many films of its era, Labyrinth was adapted into an early video game. Released for the Commodore 64 and Apple II computers, the game began with a text-based opening that led players to a movie theatre screening of Labyrinth, when suddenly David Bowie appears on screen and challenges you to fight him. The game was widely regarded as frustrating and nearly impossible to complete, but it does probably represent your only chance to have David Bowie personally challenge you to a fight. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Labyrinth. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.